All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get on to the notes here for the law of cosines. Now, there's not really much to really see here. We have the law of cosines. It's a new formula. I think the one thing that students kind of get stuck with this is what happens when we're given information that is not for, side A or angle A. So therefore, we need to rewrite the equation. So just recall, again, remember, this is for an oblique triangle. And when we're looking at an oblique triangle, and we're going to want to make sure that we have our angles, we're using these A, B, and C. And then the opposing sides here are going to be lowercase a, B, and C. Of course, I don't even follow my own rules. So again, just remember that your lowercase is going to be opposing from your side length. That's going to be B. I can't even write this lowercase b. Okay, so we use angles as capitals and side lengths as our lowercase. So let's pretend, we're given the information and we need to solve for B instead of solving for A. So all we're simply going to do is just rearrange that, the formula. So you could go ahead and obviously just, solve for it. But I just want you to see you could go ahead and solve for B squared from this formula. But I think it's important also just to recognize you can just swap A and B together. So therefore I can rewrite this as B squared equals A squared plus C squared, minus A2 times A times C times the cosine of B. So wherever you saw an A, you are now just going to go ahead and replace that with a B. Okay. And the same thing works over here for this bottom equation. I can now change this with a cosine of B is equal to A squared plus C squared minus B squared all over 2 times A times C. So you can see all I'm doing is wherever I see a B or wherever I have an A, I'm replacing it with a B. And that goes for the angle as well as for the side length. And we can do the same thing for C. So in this case, if I wanted to solve for C, I would just rearrange it again. I'd say, all right, let's swap all the C's and A's. So C squared equals a B squared plus an A squared minus 2 times B times A times the cosine of C. And then I could write the cosine of C is equal to an A squared. Oops, let's keep the A squared. Let's keep the A there. Let's go ahead and keep this as a B squared plus A squared minus C squared all over a 2 times B times A. And there you go. So there, hopefully, a lot of people, sometimes they need to write them down initially, but I think as long as you can understand this first formula and then just swap it out, you'll be A-okay. So Heron's formula is also going to be used when we want to find the side lengths for the triangle. And again, just remember, this is fairly basic that you're going to be using. Really, a lot of times this just becomes an issue when students are dealing with how to type it into the calculator. But again, just remember this is going to be for any of your triangle that you have that you can, again, use your just opposing sides. Remember, these represent the side lengths of our triangle. Okay, so that's going to be let's just get, So that's just going to represent whenever you have the side lengths. Now, when we have in this case, when we have an oblique triangle where we have an angle, we can actually use this formula because here we don't have an angle, right? We need to find the altitude, right? We're not finding the altitude here. However, if we remember for a general triangle, and if you remember back in the day here, if I had base and height, right? We know the area was equal to 1/2 base times height, right? So all we're simply doing is when we're working with this triangle, if we have this oblique triangle, and let's call this angle A, and let's call this, angle B here, or side length B. Well, if I wanted to figure out what the height is, let's actually just do this. Height here, and then therefore this would be big C and little c, right? Okay, so if you kind of recall here, I can find the height, right? I know that the sine of A equals H over C. So H is equal to C times the sine of A. Right? So that's going to be the height. So I can say the height, so area, equals 1/2 base, right, my B, times my height. Well, height can be represented as C times sine of A. So that's where the formula comes from. And again, just like we did with the law of cosines, you could just swap out your side lengths. You can see I just gave them to you all inside this equation because it's rather simple. You're just swapping the A, the B, and the C for the side length as well as for the angles, no matter what. So those are the notes. Now it's just going to come into the process video to go ahead and actually put this into action. So I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.